Hello, this is your course director. Welcome to week 2 of personal development and leadership, our course where we talk about the path to mastery. And this week, our theme is inspiration. So I know that it has been an exciting time for you all as you've really had that achievement of getting through that very first week of really onboarding back into, for many of you, a university setting where it might have been a longer break, or have achieved that goal of starting off that graduate degree that has been a long path to get here. So it's a good time to go ahead and just, take a breath, celebrate, that you've gotten kind of over that initial hump. And now we're really going to start moving into mastery in terms of how to lay out the groundwork, that foundation for what is it that is your life's course path that you talked about last week, how to start setting strategies for how to get there, how to look at the paths of others to help inspire you along the way. And then how to set milestones for yourself for that over the course of your entire program, not just in this class, but over the course of your entire program, milestones you can check back into to keep this path to mastery active within your own field of study. So let me tell you what we're going to cover in our agenda for today. I want to check in first on how did that first week go. Then we'll talk about impressions. Also, share some insights so far that some students have shared with me. We'll then go into our key concept this week, which is that topic of inspiration. And then, of course, review this week's assignments. So, in talking about how did the first week go, when I had the larger session that had the majority of the course on the line, I actually had to re-record this session because we had so many people with the live mics and the active dialogue and things like that, that it actually, the narration was very difficult to capture. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually summarize some of the insights that some of your classmates shared when we had the live session. So how did the first week go? Some of the things that folks were sharing were that for several people shared insights about how much they really enjoyed the reading and how it surprised them how really through the study of those examples, they were able to look at things in a different way and be able to really kind of put things within their own frame of study into a new frame of reference. So they thought that that was really interesting. Other folks were saying that, they were very overwhelmed when they first received, all of the new materials from Full Sail, the new computer, all the programs, that we jump right in and we begin using, not only the resources, but technology as well. And that they felt things like the lynda.com tutorials that are available through our library were a great aid to them, and being able to just see how some of these programs are very easy to use and things like that. Some other folks were saying, just things like it was important, to really get into that time management aspect in terms of, especially for our online group, how many folks, we all have busy lives managing work, school, family, just commitments overall. And then now you've layered on this additional piece, which is highly accelerated graduate program, which does require, many hours a week of focus, and not only focus in terms of in study mode, but also in application and output mode in terms of how long things take to upload, how to get your assignments posted on time, the interaction, leaving time for interaction with your fellow students. And really, some people were sharing some good tips as far as some discipline, on their parts with that. So as far as some of the impressions that folks had, a really very positive feedback overall regarding the reading. And a impression, one of the tips that someone shared is that because the reading really is, it's not a traditional textbook. It's more something that, when you're reading it, you need to be able to leave time to reflect on the key insights that you gained and things like that. So one of those impressions that someone shared was that they talked about how they this week plan to take the reading assignments and break it into chunks in terms of areas of focus that they would do each day of the week, and then different output elements that they would do versus just trying to kind of sit down one time and read everything. They wanted to be able to kind of read to a point, think through it, and then go to the next point the next day. I actually shared a tip that I have from when I first read Robert Greene's Mastery book, which is that because, as you guys are starting to see, he will weave profiles of different historical figures, right? And what he'll do is that he'll add elements in terms of the different keys to mastery, strategies for achievement. I'm just talking about like our content for this week, for instance, the the steps through different elements. What I started to do in my notes was that I started to actually kind of in my notes keep a section like I'd start a blank page, for instance, on one historical figure. And like instead of maybe taking linear notes, I was going back and I was actually like, when he would revisit someone, like let's take Mozart, for instance, when he would revisit his story, I would actually go back and add that to the notes that I had previously taken on Mozart, and it started to form kind of a larger profile picture on the different folks that kind of were woven throughout. Just so that you know, and for those of you who like to read ahead, I understand. But the last, literally like 20 pages of the book, actually kind of puts the ribbon on these stories for each one of the historical figures that is woven throughout, where it does do what I said, which is that it takes the different pieces, parts that are visited throughout, and it actually, kind of puts them all together for those of you kind of don't want to see it end to end. So anyway, that is coming, but that's of course at the end. But you can skip ahead if you wish. So that was kind of from impressions from the text. As far as impressions from the discussion board work and stuff like that, I wanted to let you all know that of course this class is relatively new to Full Sail, and so as a part of that, the program directors for the different degree programs that you all are going into when you leave Mastery at the end of this month have been very involved in the development of this class. You've likely and should have by now reviewed the reference materials that they personally prepared for you that are in our reference section for each degree program. And as a part of that, they've also been actively involved in actually doing things like reading your discussion board posts and other things like that. So their impressions, the people who are in charge of the degree programs that you're going into, have been very, very strong in terms of just they're very happy to see the level of involvement, the the uh, they were very impressed with the writing capability that they saw in the initial discussion board posts and the expressiveness that you each had. And so I just wanted to share that impression with you because I thought that was really positive feedback early on. Last thing that we discussed in terms of impressions was some folks' use of our technology element in week one, which was our iMovie project. And people had impressions where some folks shared that they were very, very nervous about when they saw that the first week's project already jumped into using a program that they had never used. But overwhelmingly, what everyone said was once they either, I think there was a combination of people who either just jumped in, used some tutorials, you know, shot like a little test video here or there, checked it out, and went, "Oh, okay, I see how this works." And also relied on others through like the use of the community board to get tips from fellow classmates. A combination of those things, everyone thought that that was a really fun program to be able to learn right out of the gate. Some other impressions folks had was that it was a good learning for them, how long the conversion and upload process can take. And I can tell you that's a really important lesson to get early because so many of your graduate degree programs are going to have video lessons, narration keynotes, other things like that, or projects that just take time to upload. And so it's important that obviously, as we've talked about before, that you don't start your assignments at 10 o'clock on Sunday night when they're due at midnight, because even though you might finish them, the actual upload process can actually take longer than you think. So we talked about in those cases, obviously, methods to provide, if your upload is taking longer than you think, a way that you can uh, make sure that your instructor knows that you are, working on getting that posted is you can go ahead and send them an email with a link, for instance. You also, a lot of times when you're uploading, you can actually go ahead and post the link, and then the upload might take several more hours, but at least you posted that link to FSO, for instance, early. Now, some methods to post, for instance, that first project, you have one or two options. You could either post the video directly, okay? If it was under 100 megabytes, that's the limitation on FSO for how large a file can be to post. Or the other way is, because we wanted to go ahead and create your video sharing platform that you'll use throughout so many of your other programs on YouTube, Vimeo, etc. You also can just, for instance, just put together a Word document, put that link onto the Word document, and upload that. We go ahead and let you have that first assignment be just private between you and the instructor in terms of, if you didn't want to share that turning point story with everyone in the class, it's not a requirement. But of course, if you want to share it, we encourage you to do so by, using the community board to share with other classmates. It helps build that rapport as well. But just wanted to, touch base on some of the things folks had shared from week one. As far as insights, really good insights that through the projects people were saying it that the content from the mastery text tapped into some things like some folks were sharing some good stories about really kind of that passion, that internal passion that has brought them on their path. It really helped kind of light that spark. So I thought that was a really neat insight from week one. Another insight that some folks shared is that they really enjoyed those materials that those program directors shared to really get them on kind of their self-study path that's outside of kind of what we're doing in class. But that's a big part of every class at Full Sail, actually, is that we're not just those who really want to be on that path to mastery. It's not just about exactly what the teacher assigned, but for you, it's your own path. It's about what the teacher assigned, what you're doing with your classmates, but then it's also what other materials on this topic can I find? What is there more to learn about this topic beyond just what is the things that are outlined on the rubric? And so several folks were sharing how in their insights when we had this insights discussion, how other resources that they found around the things that we were doing, and how that helps supplement really kind of a full comprehension of really those topics from week one. Okay, so on the topic of key concepts, I'm going to go into our key concept for this week, which is inspiration. So, inspiration plays a key role as we build upon that path to mastery. We're focusing on chapter 5 this week. Okay, I think our reading starts about page, guessing here, it's like 160 something. So, we started with, and last week we did the introduction in chapter 1. Now we're skipping all the way to chapter 5. But the reason that we're doing that is because, as we talked about before, the book is our mastery. Robert Greene's Mastery is not a textbook. It is actually, to me, this path made the most sense in terms of building upon our themes for each week. Where last week we talked about the life's task. This week we're going to talk about inspiration. Next week, we'll build upon that, and all 4 weeks build together. So, on the topic of inspiration, let me get into this week's topics in terms of how we'll bring inspiration to life. We start off this week with our discussion board post, and this post is centered around a excellent video by Dr. Randy Pausch called "The Last Lecture." I have posted for you all the abridged version of that. It's about a 10-minute version of his longer version, which is a 76-minute version. But you're welcome to watch either one. I went ahead and just in a reply post I put there, I went ahead and put the link to the 76. Probably a lot of you have already seen it because it was an internet sensation when it first came out, especially because of the impact that it has in terms of inspiring others. And because of the story of Dr. Randy Pausch, which is that when he filmed his last lecture, it was because he knew he had terminal cancer, and he has since passed away. But his message and his story has lived on in terms of how to inspire others to find those paths, master them, and how to really focus on what's important in life. So I really hope that you enjoy that. What we do then in that assignment, let me go ahead and open up the assignment itself here for you, is that I actually ask you to, in your initial post, cite 3 concepts from your reading that reflect on those points. And then describe your understanding of those concepts that can inspire your mastery journey. So this is very open in terms of, you can choose any concepts from chapter 5. It's very much a reflection in terms of thinking back on the reading and putting that into your own context. Okay. So that's due Wednesday evening by 11:59 p.m. Right before midnight Eastern time. Okay. Then for your follow-up post, which is due Sunday evening, you should respond to at least one other student's story and then provide a perspective related to that classmate's post that specifically references a key point from the last lecture video or the mastery textbook. So this is building upon what they had and then tie back with another concept that helps extend that conversation. Okay. So I know that you guys are new to the program, and so I just want to make sure that you all have seen, some of the policies that we have. And some folks might be wondering when you look at, for instance, this rubric, well, how much is the first post worth, and how much is the second post worth? Okay, we have one rubric that we use, but the way that the breakdown goes is that the initial post is worth 70. Okay, and the reply post is due 30 or 30. Of your overall, input grades that you have for the course, each discussion board post is worth, 5% of your overall grade. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, just in case anyone, for instance, life happens and sometimes people miss a reply post or, those types of things. And so that's the impact that would have, is that if you, for instance, missed a reply post, then your maximum you could get on that discussion board grade is a 70 because you missed the second post. Sometimes folks ask me about the late policy and reflection, or in relation to the discussion boards. That's clearly outlined in the policy on the announcements regarding the late policy. But just to summarize that, any assignment that we have at Full Cell for this program, and sometimes there's a little bit of changes in some different classes, so make sure you reflect on those. But in our class and in several programs, basically what happens is if the assignment is 1 day late, and that means if it comes in after midnight, okay, so that's something to be very aware of, is that if it comes in 1 day late, it's minus 20 points. If it comes in 2 days late, it's minus 50, and then you cannot submit it past that point. Okay, so let's say a discussion board was due on Wednesday evening, but you instead did not make your initial post until Saturday. that post actually would not count for any points, because at that point, when you think about it in terms of the philosophy of the discussion board, the train has really left the station, in that case, in a lot of examples, because the conversation has taken place kind of without you. And for you to make that post, then there's really not probably an opportunity that a lot of people would be able to make a reply post to it. And so, especially given our accelerated time schedule, the involvement in the online learning and things like that, it's just really important to make sure that you meet those deadlines and stuff. And to that end, we also have an additional piece at Full Sail, which is that GPS score. And so when things happen, like you are late with posts, or you aren't able to make the reply posts, or you're late with an assignment, or any of those things, those all have also implications in that GPS score. And I know that you guys have already finished that GPS assignment where you signed off on those GPS points, and you can see that those have points associated with them as well. And GPS is worth 10% overall. So just wanted to make sure I reinforce that as we go into week 2 so that you all are aware. Okay. Our second assignment for this week is the establishment of our mastery journal. We use the platform Tumblr for this, but you really shouldn't think of this mastery journal as a blog per se, in terms of it's not really intended to be an outward blog that you would, try to have followers to, or, put your life out for everyone to see. You can if you wish, but really the intention of using Tumblr for this is really more about the functionality. This is intended to be a journal. So it's a journal that for you, it's for about you tracking your journey. You'll be sharing it with your instructors along the way throughout your program. And if you wish to have followers, you can, but it's really a place for you to look to for inspiration for yourself, for you to outline what you want to achieve across your program, for you to check in on with yourself on how you're doing to those goals, a place for you to put, photos, videos, to make notes to yourself. It's really as if you're taking out that, old-fashioned paper diary, and a place that you can actually, at the end of your journey in your graduate program, a place for you to look back on and really, probably when you'll read these first posts that you finished that you'll finish this week, it will be like, wow, that seemed like forever ago, type of thing, like we do when we find, like, an old third grade journal or something like that. But that's really what the intention of it is. In some other programs that a lot of you guys will be going into, you do actually build actually outward facing professional blogs, such as in the entertainment business program. I know they do that. And so that's something to be aware of, in that, don't feel like you have to build this journal to be about like your business or something like that. This journal is intended to be for you and your mastery journey. So that's why it's the mastery journal. So let me go ahead and show you this assignment. So this assignment is about, of course, building that journal itself within Tumblr. Everyone should use that simplification theme. You can change it later if you want, but this is a way to just kind of get everyone stable and up and running. And you can use that. You can find the simplification theme by just going to change themes, and I believe it's on the bottom row when you are looking at all the different themes that are up there. Then you will not only will you go ahead and build your journal, but you'll also do your first assignment on it, which is that you should complete an About Me tab, okay, and put links to different elements of your personal brand, so that you can kind of track all of those in one place for yourself. Then on that homepage, I want for you to provide at least a 300-word minimum statement that outlines your intention for that journal. And then begin using that homepage. I'd like for you to make at least one post on that homepage that's just some kind of an inspiration board post, whether it be a photo, it could be a song, it could be a video, it could be a quote, anything. It's just about, our theme for this week is inspiration. And the best journals that I've seen are those that, like, just like it is like that third grade journal I was talking about, where you have little scraps of paper in there and pictures and little things that fall out of it that are more, that aren't just text, but that also have those other pieces like visioning boards and stuff like that. So, I like, I don't want to say, you must post 10 things, it's everyone's different, but I'd like for everyone to post at least one inspirational element for week one. Okay. I also, as a last step, need for you to go ahead and click right here, and I need for you to go and add your URL, to this journal, to this form, so that we have a list of kind of everyone's mastery journal URLs in one place. Okay, because we're going to pass those on to your other programs so that they have an understanding of what everyone's addresses are and stuff like that. So that's a requirement of the project as well. Okay, now for this week, your big assignment for Sunday night, and just so you remember, discussion post initial is due Wednesday, replies due Sunday. For journal, it's due Sunday. For this project, your research paper, your Heroes Mastery Journey research paper, this is also due Sunday. Okay. The intention of this project is for you to tap into the context of what you've learned in your text. Okay. Reflect it to the path of someone in your area of mastery or someone that you admire, looking to them in terms of research that you can find about them, and their steps to achieving the levels they did in that area of interest. You're going to be probably making assumptions in terms of the steps to mastery that for instance are the strategies and the steps to mastery that are outlined in the text. The research that you find, they're not going to state things in exactly those same way. And so you're really going to be looking at that person's journey and then taking on what might have been some of those potential pitfalls they had, things like that. Like an example I can give for you guys of this one is that, let's say, for instance, you're going to pick Walt Disney. Okay. So if we just looked at the end of, you would say, oh, he achieved such greatness, but through that path, he had many life's challenges. He had, bankruptcy. He had things that happened in terms of, legal aspects. Many, many challenges along the way that you can actually take through the processes within the assignment and reflect back on those in terms of that hero of mine's mastery journey. Okay. So let me go ahead and open up the assignment for this one as well. So on this one, as I just said, you research the path of that personal hero. And then I want you to look to, these elements of your reading that's in week or in chapter 5, for instance, where I want you to outline your key learnings of the mastery journey into 3 keys to mastery steps: creative task, creative mind, and creative breakthrough. And remember, what you're doing is that you are, taking the research that you've done and then you're putting it into these frameworks. Okay. And those sections are on page 175 to 201. Then I want you to provide a reflection on which of those emotional pitfalls that you think your hero probably faced. Okay. Then I want you to reflect upon which of the 9 people profiled in that strategy for the creative phase you think that your hero is most closely related to, and why. Okay. So this should follow APA formatting. Within the assignment, we've provided an APA sample paper that's there for you. There's several elements of APA that are very critical to look at. You should look both at your academic integrity and APA basics, also the sample paper in terms of how to format it, how to do in-text references, and then of course your reference sheet at the end of your paper. So the APA formatting is going to be consistent throughout all of your programs, and so it's really important to go ahead and get those basics of APA up and running with this first paper that you guys will be doing here. The other element that's critical for this is that you'll use the library resources. So I've also attached a reference sheet for you to view the library resources, how to use those resources. I went into EBSCOhost and LexisNexis as two of those. You can use other ones if you wish. That's fine as well. But of your 4 research sources that should be used in this paper, at least 2 of those should be sourced through library references. So let me take you through how to look at what I just talked about, which is that on that assignment, for instance, the research paper. Okay, here's that APA sample paper. Here's that reference for how to use the online library. Okay. In addition to that, we've also gone ahead and we put a research podcast that talks about some research methodologies, and we may be adding other resources too to our references section. As we go forward and things like that. So we've got things like here's that academic integrity that I talked about. And, of course, here's all of the virtual classroom presentations that we always have, if you ever want to come back and look at one of these. But, keep looking, at your references and make sure that any attachments that you have to any assignment, you click in, use those, things like that. So let me go ahead and open up that one for you to the research paper. Okay, here's that sample paper, and it tells you about, here's like the running head, for instance, the importance of putting the title and your name on that front page and the date, keeping the running head going, how to format the paper itself, all of those types of things. Okay, how to actually put your references together, all of those tips for you. Okay. In addition to the things that we've attached to the assignment itself, I also wanted to just go ahead and show you. I'm just going to go into OrgSync. We have so many resources that are available to us. As I mentioned before, lots of students found using the lynda.com resources were very critical and helpful to them, as they were, putting their assignments to, or how to use the different technologies, like we did with iMovie in week 1. And there are just so many video tutorials that they have available, and they're just so easy to access. They're right there on that front page for you. So I just wanted to make sure I showed you guys how easy it was to get into that page, because it's just right here available from that organizations tab within OrgSync. Also, along these same lines, is using those library resources. Which all you need to do for that is that you go down here to Departments, Library, Research Databases, and then here's that whole set of links to those research databases. Here's that EBSCOhost that I talked about, okay? LexisNexis Academic is down here. But really, any of these references are available for you to use. I really recommend, here's LexisNexis, that you go in and just click on each of them and check out what's available for you. So anyway, really critical also to go ahead and use these early, because if you have some for off-campus students, if you have any problem with accessing these, you would of course want to learn that sooner rather than later. You would not want to be 9 o'clock Sunday night, not able to actually access one of these for some reason. And this tells you the process for, contacting FSO support, etc., or the library is, I guess, where you email here if you have problems with accessing any of these databases. Okay. And also just let your course director know. So that takes us to any questions that anyone might have. And if you have any questions, just know that your instructor is there for you. So feel free to reach out to us via email. You can also set up a time to call. It's up to you. And then here's our takeaways. Of course, begin that reading early to let those concepts sink in. Give yourself time to be inspired this week by taking on the assignments in smaller doses. Use those tutorials like lynda.com that I said. As far as building that mastery journal, think about your concept for that journal. What do you want this to be for yourself? It's for you. And think about that in terms of writing your intention statement. Remember, those research databases have a wealth of information. Be sure to use those. APA is pretty critical this week in terms of following those guidelines. And so make sure that you do that. Contact your instructor with any questions. And then, of course, have fun. So good luck with week 2. And I look forward to speaking with you all next week on our live session. But remember, if you can't tune in live, you can always check out the archive. Okay? So have a great week. Take care.